As many of you know, it's really difficult for teenagers to get jobs nowadays. Adults with more job experience are often competing with us for the same jobs. So last summer I was trying to get a job, and the experience was unsurprisingly difficult. Now, since it's so difficult, I didn't really want to drive around everywhere to apply for jobs, So I just did it online. I only applied for like one job every 3 weeks though, because it comes with a lot of distractions applying online, which is mostly Twitter for me. But anyway, I wasn't having much luck with the applications for most of the summer, so I figured I would have to like wait for the holiday season to get one. But then one day in August, I was in Link Crew training, and we were all playing this game where everyone's jumping on top of each other and carrying each other and stuff. And I got an unexpected phone call. So like with everyone jumping around me, I answered the phone, and it was a lady from Hibden Tires Plus. So I had recently applied there, so I rushed out of the room to talk to her since it was really loud in there. And she wanted to schedule an interview for that day. So she said she was in a building in downtown Oklahoma City doing job interviews just that day. So I scheduled it for 1 o'clock, which was in like 3 hours from when I got the call. And so I had 3 hours to go get my interview clothes, resume, and drive all the way to downtown Oklahoma City, and I was going to have to hurry. So after Link Crew training, I went straight to my mom's house in Oklahoma City to get my resume, and then I drove all the way to my dad's house in Edmond to get my clothes. And then I had just enough time to get to that building that she told me to go to. And so I left pretty quickly, and after driving through downtown Oklahoma City, which I had never done before, so it was really complicated, I parked in a spot that was probably not legal. It was just a random spot on the curb. But I parked there, and then I walked out to the building. It was just like a totally bland brick building with like dark tinted windows. I couldn't see in it at all, so it was pretty sketchy looking. But the address was right. It had the number on it and everything. So I knocked on the door, and no one answered after like 5 seconds. So I tried to open it, and it was locked. So I went around the corner. There was another door there, so I went around the corner and tried to open that door, and it was also locked. So I was pretty confused. I was like, what do I do? And then I heard the other door open from like around the corner. And so I looked over there, and the lady who had called me was holding the door open for me. So I was like, oh, hey, and I greeted her, and then I walked in, and it was just like a big empty conference room, basically. It was really big. And she asked me if I wanted a drink of water, which I turned down for some reason because I was pretty thirsty. I don't know why I turned it down. We sat down, and she asked me about the position I applied for, which was retail sales team member. And I told her why I applied for it. And then we somehow got into the subject of my trip to the building we were in. And I mentioned that I used my phone as my GPS. And she asked me what kind of phone I had. And I told her, and we had the same phone, which is pretty uncommon for us since we don't have iPhones. So we bonded over our phones for a little bit. Like she was asking me about the apps and games I have on it and stuff. Phone cases, whatever. And then we talked about Candy Crush for a while. I told her a way to cheat and get more lives, and she was pretty grateful for that. So after being off subject for like 10 minutes, we refocused, and she told me that her store didn't have any room in the position that I applied for.
Aww.
And I was too young and inexperienced for that position regardless. But she said I scored really high in sales on this test that I took during the application online. So she said she would like refer me to another store where I could be a tire hand instead of that, and maybe work up to that position. So I said that was cool, and then the interview was over, so I left. And so then while I was on my way out of Oklahoma City, I got another call from her. So I answered, and she told me to just drive straight to that other store and talk to the manager. So I went over there. I was like expecting another interview. So I was like preparing myself for that. So I got to the store, and I walked up to the front desk, and I was like, I'm here for an interview. And the manager came by, and he would just basically gave me paperwork and told me to go get a drug test and physical done. It was not an interview at all. He just like pretty much accepted me based on the lady's recommendation and my score on that test that I took. So I got that stuff done, and I eventually got the job. So after all that driving around between my mom's and dad's houses, downtown Oklahoma City, and that Hibden Tires Plus store, I ended up getting the job mostly because I did well on the test that I took while I was sitting on the couch applying for that job. My minimal work experience didn't matter, so even though it may be difficult for teenagers like us to get a job with adults competing, you can stand out from the crowd by doing what high school has prepared us all so well for, which is acing a test.